continue to do this without there being some type of accountability. And we're going to hold them accountable. Because guess what? I pay taxes today. I have a right to demand that you do what the law says you're supposed to do.
Right.
There is something definitely wrong when people that are responsible for other people's lives, safety and security and well-being and the humane treatment are not doing what the law says you're supposed to do. Something needs to happen. They cannot continue to do this here. There's been numerous reports of violations and abuse and continuing for them non-compliance with what the whole bill said. When we did the whole bill and we advocated for the whole bill to be passed, we did this so that people inside our prisons and jails can be treated more humanely, so that there at least would be an opportunity for rehabilitation, correction. Something is wrong with that word. Prisons do not correct. It's supposed to be an opportunity for redemption, rehabilitation, and transformation. No matter who you are or what you did. Some people just didn't get caught for doing what they did. Some people did. But yeah, we do need systems of accountability, but those systems of accountability should be transformative. It should be rehabilitative. And it should give a person an opportunity to better themselves or to address the issues that continue to allow or continue to have them act other ways. But yeah, there needs to be a system of accountability, but that system of accountability needs to be humane, it should be transformative, it should be rehabilitative. Unfortunately, that's not the case. But the case is that there is somebody responsible, and that somebody should be held accountable. Our governor has ultimate oversight over our prisons and jails.
That's right.
Something should happen. That's right.
We are the system of accountability.
That's right. We're gonna hold them accountable. So I'm not gonna keep the stage too long because this is not about me. It's about all of us here together.
Right.
We have a few speakers lined up here that's going to speak to the descriptions, the components, the violations, the non-compliance, the partial compliance, and just about doing whatever it is they want to do. But we're not going to stand or sit idly by and allow them to do it. So the first person I want to bring up, his name is Marvin Wade.
Yeah.
Marvin Wade is one of our new members in the coalition. He joins us, and he joins us after decades of incarceration in our miserable system of prisons and jails. So I'm going to turn it over to Marvin and let him share a few words with you on what is happening.
Thank you, Mr. Nate. This is my first time on a stage like this, so I'm used to doing poetry and essays, so bear with me, but this is to my heart because I'm a former incarcerated. I'm home 3.5 years now.
Welcome home. Welcome home.
So I know about the abuse of the system, and the whole solitary confinement bill was implemented to hold the DOC accountable and for them to stop the abuse through solitary confinement. The bill was passed in 2021, and in 2022 it was implemented. But to this day, DOC continues to abuse and use solitary confinement to abuse our incarcerated citizens. And it has to stop. It has to stop. We're here to urge the governor to take action against the DOC and force them, as Victor Page just said, to do their job. To do what they get paid to do, not just control and lock people up, but care. And the bill, the whole solitary confinement bill, is for them, and it has guidelines and laws in place for them to do their job. And they keep disrespecting and disregarding the bill and continuing to abuse and hurt our incarcerated citizens. And it's not right. It has to stop.
All right.
And I want to speak to my own experience in my 25 years. I myself dealt with solitary confinement in the late 90s for the first time at Coxsackie Correctional Facility. I was given 90 days long-term keep lock. And they said that, oh, the box is full, so we give you long-term keep lock. But it was the same thing. Same thing as solitary confinement. I was locked in my cell 23 hours, 1 hour for rec. And where we were housed at, all the men in this area, we couldn't really socialize or communicate with each other normally. So we were on the gate yelling constantly all day, 23 hours, yelling to each other, trying to talk over each other, and yelling through the window across the yard to other prisoners that was locked in their cell. And that traumatized me. That affected me. In that short period, that first time, I remember going on a visit with my family, and a normal conversation, my mother had to stop me. Like, why are you yelling? And I didn't realize what I was doing, and I was getting upset because I felt like I wasn't able to finish my sentence. I was cutting people off. And so in that short period of 90 days, I was affected by solitary confinement. So imagine months, years in solitary confinement. I remember being in the last times I spent in solitary confinement thinking, like, man, I want to get out of here. Just think about this. I want to get out of solitary confinement and go to my cell in population. Like that's crazy. And that's how the system breaks you down spiritually and emotionally to make you forget about home and being with your family and wanting to get out of this situation and go to your cell and like that. And I vowed to never be in a place where I didn't want to be and want to be in a place that I don't want to be. That's crazy. So, again, I don't want to be too long. I just want to, I'm happy to be here and speak for the, our incarcerated human beings and be with you all. But urge the governor, again, to take action and force the DOC to do its job and start implementing the guidelines and laws within the whole solitary confinement bill and stop the abuse. Because the longer you wait to take action, the longer the abuse, the longer the suffering, and the longer the trauma that I still deal with to this day. And it has to stop. And it has to stop now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
All right.
Thank you so much. I love to hear other voices of other people. I get tired of talking. You don't know my story, all right? So it's always good to hear the voices of the people, so to speak. Voices of those of other people. Like I said, mostly everybody here was part of the whole campaign for the 10 years that we did it. So y'all know basically what the components of the whole bill contain, especially the 15-day maximum, or minimum, shall I say, that people were supposed to be held in solitary confinement, and then the alternative units, which is the residential rehabilitative unit, which is where most of the programming is supposed to be going on. And there are other components of the whole bill that excluded certain populations. People with mental health issues, not supposed to be placed in solitary confinement. People are supposed to get out of cell time. People are supposed to get congregate time to do programs together, not shackled to chairs, having an opportunity to have out of cell time. And guess what? Docs is not doing a lot of that. Docs is doing what they want when they want. And that ain't right.
That ain't right.
So we're not going to let them get away with that. We're not going to stand idly by. We're going to continue to do the work that we need to do to make sure that they adhere and comply with what the whole bill says is supposed to happen.
Yeah.
So, with that said, I'm going to bring up, what is it, Courtney?
Yeah.
Oh, right here. Courtney. Night crew.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Courtney Powell. I'm a legal fellow at the New York Civil Liberties Union, and I'm here today because over the past year, NICLU and all the other legal service organizations have been flooded with calls and letters from incarcerated individuals and their loved ones. And every person is telling the same story, that DOCS is violating the halt law systemically, routinely, every single day. So a few weeks ago, NICLU and Prisoner Legal Services filed a class action lawsuit to tell DOCS they had to stop.
Come on, power.
The Hall Act was supposed to limit the use of segregated confinement, and it was very clear in its language. If they want to put someone in extended segregated confinement or any other disciplinary unit, they have to find that someone committed one of 7 very serious offenses. We're talking high-level offenses, and they have to find that their offense was so heinous or destructive that it puts safety at risk in the facility. And DOCS is not making these findings. We know that they are. And we've heard it from countless individuals. I'm going to tell you the story of one of our plaintiffs, Mr. Fields. Mr. Fields was having a mental health crisis one morning, expressing suicidal statements. DOCS puts him in a restraint chair, and he's waiting to be sent to the Office of Mental Health Services when he asks to go to the bathroom. Staff ignore his request. Hours go by, and finally he exposes himself, he urinates, and he throws a sugar packet at an officer. That's all he does. And he gets 120 days.
That's not right.
120 days. And his story is not unique. We hear from people every day who are doing very minor things like that story and are being placed with excessive sentences, and it needs to stop.
Yeah, right.
So we're going to continue fighting for incarcerated New Yorkers. We're going to continue trying to make DOCS accountable, and I know that all of us here are not going to stop until the Hall Act is being complied with. Governor, we are asking you today to make sure that something changes. We have increased violence in our prisons, increased staff brutality, and lives are on the line. Violating the Hall Act is only making things worse. We need to change today.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Courtney. It's always good to hear the voice of the people. I want to next bring up my illustrious boss, right, from the National Religious Campaign of Torture. His name is Ron Steve. If you haven't heard him before, you're going to hear him now, because he's a voice to be reckoned with.
All right.
Ron.
I don't know how industrious I am, but I'm feeling pretty industrious today.
That's
Because
right.
we're in front of the governor's office. We heard a lot from Victor and others about the law. And if your governor can't obey the law, I don't care where you are, that is a threat to democracy.
That's right.
And it's also a threat to human decency, and it's a sign that your leadership is not what it can be. And I think when folks are running for office, they're trying to tell you all the places they're going to lead.
Yes.
So to let the law go unenforced, especially when the consequences are so dire as they are inside the prisons in New York, is a moral travesty.
That's right.
It's a moral travesty. You know, from my own tradition, the Christian tradition, you cannot, it says that Jesus says, however you treat the most vulnerable in your society, that is how you are treating me.
Right.
And I can tell you the National Religious Campaign Against Torture is an interfaith organization. And I can tell you that that is also true in the Muslim tradition.
Right.
That is also true in the Jewish tradition.
Right.
It is true in the Sikh tradition.
Right.
It is true across the board. And that's why so many, the 300 organizations that are part of the National Religious Campaign Against Torture agree that torture is immoral and needs to be stopped. It is a divine mission of every one of us to work to stop torture.
Yes.
Now,
Right.
I don't know if you ever sit back and stop to think about what you did here in New York. You got a law passed, the second law in the country to ban long-term solitary confinement in your state.
Come on.
You have inspired, because National Religious Campaign Against Torture has been at this for over a decade. You have inspired now 20 state campaigns who are doing the same thing that you are across the country. When you win, they win. And that's why I just have the ultimate respect for the organizers in New York. Each one of you who show up time after time. I'm on your list, and I was talking to JJ. I said, how many of these do you have a week? But you need them, right?
Yeah.
Because you're on the city council, you're on the state, you're after folks to implement this. You realize you can't just pass a law and walk away. Now, as Victor was saying, I saw a sign in the elevator this morning that said, "Do not." It's against the law to smoke in the elevator. If I would have lit up a cigarette, I'd probably be in. They'd probably have me in a police van somewhere. So the law needs to apply everywhere.
All across the ball. That's right.
Let's talk just one last bit. Sister asked me to give a prayer, and I'll give it in a different way. Also part of my tradition, I don't like to say the least of these ever when I'm referring to any people that are in prison, because in my tradition they are the most, because it says the first shall be last and the last shall be first.
Yes.
There are divine consequences for this struggle, and I just want to offer a blessing for those who are in prison, who are sitting in those solitary confinement cells right now, here in New York, across the country. They have a special blessing in our religious traditions. They really have that special blessing. And let's just send that to them and send that to their families. Because that is how our divine universe is structured. And let me also talk about what it means to say, the first shall be last. I don't think I need to remind anybody what happens to the last in the Bible. They land in a bad place. They land in a bad place. So you're helping them too. You're helping them see what it means to be a human being. You're helping them see what it means to care about somebody besides themselves or their political contributors or their constituencies. You're helping them as well. You are standing here for the common good. You're standing here for every citizen in New York. I can't tell you how much respect I have for all the work you guys are doing. We're not going away. I mean, my thing at National Religious Campaign Against Torture, I keep telling people, and when I meet with corrections officials, I say, we're going to bring the lawsuits.
Right.
And that's it. We're going to bring the legislative pressure. All that. We're going to bring the moral criteria for what it means to have a society where everybody holds each other up. And that's our mission. That's our mandate. As long as that's happening out there, we're going to be happening right here. Okay? So, Victor, I don't know who's next on the list, but I want to thank Victor for an amazing job doing the organizing work here. Talk about an inspiration.
Yes. That's right. Thank you.
No peace.
No justice.
No
No
peace.
justice.
No peace.
What do we want? Justice. What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
When do we want it?
Now.
Woo.
I gotta always give a nice shout out to my colleague here. In case y'all don't know, her name is Jay Spencer.
Yes, we know.
A lot of people say they look at her, they recognize her, they say the little short man lady. She's more than the little short man lady. Believe me, she's always here. And she could be here. I respect her. She's a member of my Second Chance Committee at the National Action Network. She's a motivator, and she show up when she can show up. But y'all always know she says, no what?
Justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
When do we want it?
Now.
Right now.
That's her signature mantra. So y'all know Jay Spencer, National Action Network. So if you don't know, they say man lady, but her name is Jay Spencer. So I just want you all to know that. So moving right along, I'm going to bring up the next speaker, colleagues who've been with us as long as we've been doing this coalition, this campaign. Like I said, we've been with us since day one, still with us, and we thank you. So I'm going to bring up Comptroller. Melanie, where are you? Right here. Let me take a
My name is Melanie. I'm the lead community organizer with the Control Center. Many of our members have been negatively impacted by solitary confinement. It is inhumane. It is torture. And it is shameful and infuriating that we have to be here time after time to protect the livelihood of our fellow New Yorkers, of our brothers, of our sisters. It is not right. And Governor Hochul, instead of working to implement solitary confinement, she has been working tirelessly to roll back bail reform. And we saw that she rolled back bail reform in the state budget, which will result in black and brown, low-income New Yorkers being funneled into the jail system across the state, including at Rikers Island. It is not right. And so we're telling her right now that more than ever, she needs to step up and do the right thing. She needs to make sure that DOCS is implementing the Halt Solitary Confinement Act. And if she does not do that, we're going to be here again, and we won't stop, and we're going to continue to show up and be in front of her face to demand that she does the right thing. So when I say it's time to what? Implement solitary confinement. It's time to what?
Implement solitary confinement.
I said it's time to what?
Implement solitary confinement.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate all of you.
Thank you so much, Melanie. Thank you for the words. Thank you for your continued support. Thank you for being here, standing with us. So, we did this 10-year campaign to get this law passed, right? And as I mentioned, is that the systems of accountability in terms of its application, how it's carried out, and how it is enforced. Like I say, two systems of accountability. One for us, one for them. Right. That ain't right.
That ain't right.
But I think that for me, one of the most important things that we continue to do is that we continue to make sure that our brothers and sisters that are behind the wall are not forgotten about.
That's right.
That we do the work that we do so they can be treated more humane. Right. So that when they come back to our communities, they can be contributing members to our society. Right. But in order for that to happen, mechanisms have to be in place in order for that to happen.
Right.
In order for transformation, rehabilitation, and redemption, mechanisms have to be in place in order for that to happen. If you say correctional facilities, then it should be mechanisms in place that create the opportunity for behaviors and decisions to be better. Transformation, redemption, rehabilitation, and second chance. But that has to happen, and it has to be in place within the system. We all know that that's not the case here. Especially when you're saying people should be treated humanely. People should not be tortured. What about the Declaration of Universal Human Rights? Does that not mean anything? Is it just words on a piece of paper? Is it only applicable to a certain population of people? No, it says Declaration of Universal Human Rights.
Universal.
Are we part of the universe?
Yes, we are.
Are we part of humanity?
Yes, we are.
So shouldn't we deserve humane treatment?
Yes.
Shouldn't our brothers and sisters behind those prison walls deserve humane treatment?
Yes.
Something is wrong.
That's right.
Something is wrong. But we're not going to let them not do what they are supposed to do.
That's right.
We are going to demand accountability
We are
from the
accountability.
governor and from any elected official that we put in office. We pay taxes for
That's right.
the policies that they are supposed to be passing and adhering to is what the people say the people want. So where's the system of accountability for them? Where is the system of when you do this, this is supposed to happen. When you don't do this, this happens. I know what they did for me. I know what my system of accountability was, and I'm quite sure everybody else here know what the system of accountability be for you when you do something wrong.
Right.
Well, what about DOCS? What about them flagrantly disregarding the law and saying we're going to do what we want to do. We don't care that it's a law. We don't care that the governor signed it. We don't care that the New York State legislature passed the bill. We don't care. We're going to do what we want to do. We're going to do when we want to do and how we want to do. But guess what? Not on our watch. Not on our watch. We work too hard, too long. You know, I gotta share something with you all, right? I had an opportunity to go to one of the state maximum security facilities to see what they were doing and how they were implementing the HALT bill. I could tell you, I was horrified. I was mad. I was angry. I went through so many different ranges of changes in my emotions because I had an opportunity to go to visit the residential rehabilitative unit, which is the alternative to people being placed in long-term solitary confinement. What I found out, what I seen, and what I heard, it just hurt to hear the people that are actually in the programmatic units to tell me that they're not getting the out-of-cell time. People being held in there that are on the Office of Mental Health caseload, which is a no-no. Nobody's supposed to be in.
That ain't right.
And to hear the fact that they were not getting mental health treatment, they were not getting medical treatment, they were not getting the congregate out-of-cell time that the whole law calls for, hurt me. I went through some change. Y'all have no idea what kind of changes I went through. But just to see the result of our collective work and then see docs just disregard like it don't mean nothing. And business as usual. Where's the system of accountability? So I'm saying to y'all that we're going to raise our voices. We're going to come here as many times. We're going to go to Albany. But we're going to make docs do what docs are supposed to do. We are going to make docs accountable to the people.
That's right. Accountable to the people.
So I'm going to relinquish the stage now. I'm happy to bring up one of our supporters, one of our co-sponsors of the HALT bill, responsible for the HALT bill getting passed in 2021, a strong proponent of reform, human rights, and fair treatment, not only to her constituents, but to the constituents behind our prison, jails, and walls. I'm going to bring up our New York State Senator, Cordell Cooke.
Listen, I'm so sorry we have to be here today to make docs do their job. You know, like Nick just said, and I see Scott here. I remember the years ago, over a decade, I hate to admit that, when we sat in my office, and then the Senator Bill Perkins to write the HALT bill. And years later, you, Scott, others stuck with it and made sure that it got passed. Right? And then here we are today, and they're still not implementing the law. But we're not going to give up. We're going to continue to push, and they're going to make sure that we get justice. I see Brother Samuel Harrell's name up there. Terrible, terrible what happened with him. I've got to work on that case when that happened. But we have to continue pushing. You know why it's like this? Because this is the population they don't care about. And they think nobody cares. Right? But we do care. And they think that we don't have power. But we do have power. We have our voices and we have our vote. And we have each other. So we're going to continue to lift this up. I'm with you every step of the way. I'm continuing to fight for this. I believe in it. I was there. I've seen what happens to people. I've had family members. I've visited those prisons. I've called and had corrections talk to me like I was nobody. When I'm trying to check on someone, asking where are they? Why are they in the box? What are y'all doing? Okay? we're going to turn this situation around.
Yes.
We're going to turn this situation around. And they're going to follow the law. Solitary confinement is a form of torture. And we're not going to tolerate it. I'm going to be there with you wherever you need me to be. And we're going to keep on pushing and keep on making sure that they follow the law. I'll be at Bedford Prison this to go visit our women who are incarcerated there. And we cannot forget our families. We can't forget our people. And no one goes to prison to be tortured. No one goes to prison. It's not a death penalty. You're supposed to go there, pay for the crime you did, come out rehabilitated. This doesn't help that.
That's right.
So we're going to make sure that we keep fighting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry. Do what you do, man. Yes, sir. Come in, brother. Hold on, nigga. Here you go.
My constituent here.
I visit the office every time I go there.
And you're
Still on candy.
That's good. I don't need it.
No, don't nothing happen to me. I can get about everything.
Stay the way you
I stay slim and trim no matter what I eat.
Thank you.
So
Wow.
So thank you,
Powerful,
Senator Claire, for being here. And they know that when I go to Albany, I got a few of my legislators that they know when I come up there, I always go to the office and I steal their candy. They know, so they always have candy in their offices for me. And if I don't see them and I go in there and out there, I leave a note. Victor was here, now he's gone, left his candy wrapper to carry on. So I'm going to bring up another speaker, one of our colleagues, close colleagues who've been with us just about as long as we've been doing the book bill. Laura Whitehorn from the Release Aging People in Prison Camp.
Yes.
Where's she at?
Laura.
She's over here. I thought she was standing in the line. That's why I called her name.
I wish the Senate were full of senators here. That's right. Because one thing I want to say is this is the moment for our elected officials in the legislature to grow the most backbone they've ever had and stand up to this governor who is might as well be a Republican, who is growing up, who doesn't care. Doesn't care. Come on, but is part of the repression against communities of color in this state. So I'm Laura Whitehorn. I'm from the Release Aging People in Prison. I served just a year in solitary, unlike some people here who spent many years. But I do know it's torture. And all I want to say is that right now, just last week, Cesar, the director of Stanley Jamel Bellamy, who had just been released from prison 9 days before, after almost 4 decades on the spot, at a meeting of the UN committee. EMBLR stands for something like Emergency Mechanism on Law Enforcement and Racism. And their visit emerged from the demonstrations after George Floyd was murdered. So they come out of the struggles of the Black and brown communities. They met with people across the country. Juan Mendez, who used to be the special rapporteur on torture, was one of the commissioners who met, and he's the man who in 2011 declared in the international arena that more than 15 days in solitary constitutes torture. And I wish that I had been able to talk to him and say, do you know that in New York State, following that, there was a law passed and the state is violating it on every level. So the New York State is out of step, is not taking accountability on every level, including international law, and we will hold them accountable because the people who've been in solitary, people who've been in prison, our families are the ones who have the will to fight to end this and to try to end a situation where we have a prison system that is about not just punishing, but trying to destroy the personalities, the families, every single shred of the humanity of Black and brown people. And we are not length of time it takes to win human rights, and we will never stop. And I call solitary, police agent, people in prison, parole preparation project, we're all born at the same time. We are all the same people, the same shapes, the same concerns and the issues, but we are in this together. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Release agent people in prison campaign, I think we almost started around the same time. So this year, they're going to get the bill passed. Fan, timely parole, and elder parole bill going to get passed this legislative session. We're going to support them like they support everybody else. Amongst the multiplicity of things that need to be done, they need to pass elder parole and the Fan, timely parole act this legislative session.
Pass that bill.
It's way past
Pass
time.
that bill.
So we're going to make sure that happens.
Pass that bill. Pass that bill. Pass that bill.
Pass that bill now. Pass that bill now.
Pass.
So,
I can't hear you.
I'd like to bring up another
bill.
speaker,
You heard me?
one of my comrades.
What's the name of it?
We're actually part of another coalition that's actually working in Rikers Island to decrease the amount of registered voters. So we go to Rikers Island every month to register pretrial detainees to vote, because their vote counts too.
That's right.
So this is one of my colleagues on that platform, amongst the multiple platforms that we should share together. I'm going to bring up Ms. Takesha Newton of the Alliance of Family Adjusted / Legal Aid Community Organizers.
And greetings, family. How are you? Good. So we know that we wear many hats, right? But today we are here to demand that the governor enforces the whole solitary law.
Yes.
This was enacted into law. This is not something we are asking for. This is something that was granted a year ago, signed into law. We need this to be enforced now. We are not asking for you to keep our people safe. Our black and brown people need to be safe. That is who you have in our jails and prisons. And we want them to come out the same way that they went in. And while they are there, we demand that you keep them safe. Solitary confinement is a death sentence. We will not stand around and allow you to put our people in solitary confinement and cause further mental health conditions and oppression. We will not stand for you when we, the families and loved ones, come to visit those that we love and care for. Understand that these are human beings. We are human beings. And you will address us as such. You will care for us as such. We work. You will not use our tax dollars to dehumanize and place our people in solitary confinement. You will not do that. Okay? You will not hold our people who have not been sentenced to a crime in these positions, in solitary confinement. We will not stand for it. You use our money for what? To cause harm on our people incarcerated? To cause abuse? To insert threats? To attack us with your dogs when we visit? To not use the funds that you receive to nurture and feed our loved ones that are incarcerated? That is unacceptable. Unacceptable. Governor Hochul, you are a woman. Up until yesterday, I didn't know you were a mother, because I am a mother. I am a grandmother. I am an organizer for my community, for all communities. And I know that there's no way that you can know that this is an occurrence and accept this. I cannot accept this from you, and I will not And I'm telling you that you need to make a stance today. Your title of leadership means nothing to me. There are plenty of people out here with a title of leadership who are not leaders. I am leaderly, and I expect you to be leaderly with your title as governor. You need to enforce those who follow behind you in your footsteps. You need to right the wrong, and it is okay to be wrong because we are human. But if you cannot serve this state that you said you would serve, we want you to step aside and leave that to us to do. Okay? We need you to end this package ban. We need you to allow us to go to the store and purchase affordable foods to feed our loved ones. You are not using our tax dollars to do it, so we will do it because we will care for our people. We demand that you cut this out now. Remove that blindfold justice from that statute because justice is not blind. You can see. You see us as black people, and that's how you judge us. We are not our ancestors. We are them plus 50% on top of that. That's who we are today. And we are going to demand that you care for our people. Right now, today, Governor Hochul, make changes.
Thank you to Keisha. She was really like nice today. I seen her at full stage. We said it like that there. So my next person I'd like to bring to the platform is somebody that you all probably know, or if you don't know, you should know. Right? He is with the Parole Preparation Project, who is doing some phenomenal work, especially as it relates to preparing our brothers and sisters for parole, or even more so once they get here, because that needs to continue. So I want to bring to the platform Anthony Dixon.
Thank you everyone for coming out here on your busy day. So many of us, this is so personal. I myself was in the box, as we call it. Old time we used to call it the hole. In prison, we call it you going to jail, even though you're in prison. I was there for almost 3 years. They gave me 5 years and came with a settlement of 3 years. And I know for a fact that when I walked out of there, I was no longer the same person. After 12 months of being there, I know something had happened to me. And most of us, when we come back together in the mess hall, and we go through talking about this whole conversation, when we begin to talk about it, it became evident to me that other people came to the same conclusion. Something happened to us that we couldn't put our hands on after 12 months. For some people, I saw go in there for 3 months and commit suicide. The last time I was in there was a young man who had 14 bullets in his body from the streets, and they put him in there, and he was screaming as the bullets was coming out of his skin day by day. He was trying to take his life because of the pain. He was already in solitary confinement experiencing this when I got there, and I had to try to talk him out of it. He was a young man, first time in prison, only spent 9 months in the prison population and was put in solitary confinement. But that isn't really what I want to talk about today. I just want to give this context. We're talking about the correctional department who get people in their custody and care, who's supposed to make sure that they are rehabilitated, putting them inside of a system where that is absent. We're talking about a department that is supposed to house people for breaking the law, and they themselves are breaking the law by not implementing solitary confinement act. We're also talking about a governor who is the executor, who's supposed to make sure that the law is enforced, absent of duty. When it comes time to the 3 strikes you out law and those type of punitive laws, they are quick to make sure everybody complies. A matter of fact, you don't have to tell the judges, the DA, DOC, or anybody to enforce those laws. Why is it when these laws are enforced that tells them how to treat people as humans, we have to come together and say enforce the law? This is the bottom line. We are up against some people that believe that this system should continue. In slavery, while you were there, they had something called the whipping post.
Come on. Tell about it.
In prison, that's slavery based on the 13th Amendment. And in this slavery, they still got the whipping post. It is a hereditary, intergenerational culture in this country. Well, white people that are in charge, and I'm glad I see a lot of white sisters here today too, and white men, because you're this culture of John Brown that believe that America can do better than this. We need to enforce the law. That's all we want. We don't want the law now to pass. We want the law to be implemented. And who else but the governor is supposed to make sure this is enforced. We shouldn't have to go through this day in and day out, tweeting, going on social media, writing op-eds, having meetings, having Zoom. This is supposed to be implemented.
Implemented us.
Thank you, big brother A. It's always an inspiration to hear people express their amazement, but even more important about their outrage, and especially about accountability. You know, and like I mentioned previously,